Hey, good morning.
Yeah, right?
I sort of just plowed right into this thing. I'm sorry, brother.
No, man, good morning.
Sing this one for me. I'll sing it for you too. We'll raise our voice together as brothers and sisters. Oh, what if we could overflow? May God, the source of hope, completely fill our weary souls with joy and shalom. As we keep holding on, yeah, we're holding on to you. Holy, holy, Holy Ghost, by your power let us overflow with hope.
All right, and you got your earbuds in, and I like your mic. That's old school right there.
It's an AKG. It's a nice one.
Nice. We'll start with, you are the worship leader at Shelter Bible Church in Fairbanks, Alaska. Tell us about that church.
Oh, man. Yes, I am. I kind of like to think of it as lead worshiper. And Shelter is, I don't know, it's a couple hundred people. Lots of massive families. So there's lots of kids running around. But the main mission there is Jesus. So
Yeah.
communities taking refuge in Jesus and reaching the world, I think that's our little motto thing.
So I really like the way you phrase things. A couple of times I've talked to you, and then just now, you're lead worshiper and you're taking shelter in Jesus versus you're the worship director and we're all going to church.
Right. Very much an emphasis and even a reminder on most Sundays that this is a building, and I really our building too. I love it. Actually, one of the things that kept me there was just there was not as much emphasis on the building being all spectacular. Matter of fact, it was paid off really quickly. It was an old Napa shop, and the emphasis really is that we are the church. We are the body of Christ gathered, and that's pretty evident, I think, when you walk in.
Awesome. So your earliest memories of leading worship somewhere or getting involved with music, that type of thing?
Yeah, so I've been walking with the Lord now 18, 19 years, and that started for me really in Italy. I was in the Air Force, and the community there was a bunch of young people that we just worshiped all the time. We spent hours worshiping, and writing songs even, and just enjoying not only fellowship with each other, but really just deep, sweet fellowship with the Lord in worship. And so right from the get-go, my background being actually a saxophone player, lots of music history, it was pretty easy for me to enter into the musical side of it, but also found that I was fairly comfortable and natural at being able to move from thinking about the music side of it and what we were doing musically into what are we really saying and how are we doing it, and the things that enable you to just worship, and yet at the same time be providing musical accompaniment to everybody else's worship. Yeah, so that began back then, and I just never stopped. How can you stop?
That's awesome. What are some of the distractions you think that modern churches today face with being able to have successful worship, being able to usher in the presence of God without going over any limits or without getting off track?
So I've learned that I can aim for two different things. You could probably find two other things, but I've kind of, for myself anyway, have found that if I narrow it down to these two different directions as an aim, I can kind of keep on track and help other people keep on track. And that is, we have this massive culture out there in America of the concert worship event. Mm-hmm. And yet you just mentioned a minute ago about the church being a people gathered, right? A family gathered. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, okay, I can either either be aiming for a concert event every Sunday where, to the extent of lights and smoke and all of this stuff, right, to try to make this an event, or I can aim for the family gathering and of people who sing and encounter the Lord. And yet maybe we need a microphone and some amplification because we're hundreds of people instead of 2 families, 3 families gathered in a living room. Mm-hmm. So vision wise, I'm always thinking it's healthier and keeps me on track and helps other people keep on track as far as the worship being a free thing of us being able just to quickly turn our gaze to Jesus. I find that really helps me because especially in our culture today, there's so much that we're being told, oh, this is what it's got to look like. This is what it's got to feel like. This is what it's got to sound like. This is how you have to do it. And really, I think it should be as simple as a family gathering of people seeking Jesus. Yet we're so big, we kind of need a little help maybe with a projected word up there and, all of that kind of stuff.
When's the last time you used the overhead projector with the slides?
Oh, man. Yeah, I did say projector. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Man, I think actually, though, 15 years or so ago, I think, yeah, a church up here 15 years ago, I think they were still using a projector.
That's awesome. I'm just picturing, I've never been to Alaska. I don't know how big Fairbanks is, but I'm just picturing this small little town on the side of some mountains, and there's mist and fog when there is sunlight. I understand right now that you've got quite a bit of sunlight. Paint us a picture of what life is like up in Fairbanks.
Oh, so yeah, Fairbanks is considered land of the midnight sun because right now we're approaching that almost all day long sunlight. Mm-hmm. So it's super bright when you get up and super bright when you go to bed, and it's the opposite in the winter. So somewhere in the middle is that fringe time where we're like the rest of the country. Mm-hmm. But it's a town. The whole area itself is about 100,000 people, and we have all of the modern conveniences that anybody else does. We're just a little remote, and we do life a little bit more laid back, and maybe a little more raw. But for the most part, we're just a normal community in America with all of the conveniences and the cultural stuff going on that you'd find anywhere else. But it's a beautiful area right now too. So we just greened up last week, which happens in 1 week. So we always joke, we have 3 seasons. We have winter, which is white. So it's 6 months of white. And then we have this tiny little season that's called breakup. And then we have summer, and it's beautiful. Matter of fact, one of the reasons people are here is because the summer is just absolutely stunning, as long as you can swat mosquitoes.
Yeah, I've heard up north you got a little bit more of a fly and mosquito problem than...
Yeah, they can be a pest for sure.
You have any favorite artists right now, favorite worship leaders, or just favorite musicians in general?
I think I probably listen the most to Jason Upton. He's just really been an encouragement to me, especially his last few albums. But I also really enjoy Josh Carroll's, and when I really want to get grooving, I listen to Crowder.
Oh yeah,
and I've always appreciated Shane and Shane and the stuff they've put out. We also do some Daniel Boschta songs, and John Mark McMillan actually.
John Mark McMillan, okay.
I like to incorporate a lot of his stuff.
I could see you doing Brothers Keeper.
Yeah, there's some good ones, man.
Yeah. So where do you pull mainly from for your set list for Sunday mornings?
I would actually pull from those guys right there. Maybe a few other ones. There's a song by Mission House that I can't stop singing. I Love You, Lord. Psalm something. But a few other ones, but mainly actually the artists that I just mentioned. Or even some of my own stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So.
Well, we're going to do some of your stuff if that's okay.
Oh, man.
At our church.
Sounds good. Do it.
Yeah. So my cousin Tim Price, the other host of the show, we were talking about having worship exchange program where a worship leader from one church and another, and they swap, and that would be awesome and cool. If you ever think you might be down in the area, you are welcome in our church anytime.
Man, that would be rich. Honestly, I find it so valuable. just to go to other churches sometimes, especially when you're out of town. But to even to stand up there and do worship at a church like that would be fun. I've done it actually locally a few times. We've had some connections with other churches that I don't really know most any of the people, but you stand up there and lead some of the songs, and they don't know some of them, but some of them they do, and it's always been a pretty unique experience, which usually I end up just really appreciating the people that I'm doing life with, even more. So it just makes it's rich.
Well, speaking of people, tell us about your team. Is it just you, or do you have a couple other musicians with you?
Yeah. So we have a couple bass players that we rotate, and we incorporate the box drum, cajon. We've done live drum sets in the past, and it's pretty loud and fun, but don't actually have one right now. Had a real sweet violin player for a while, but we don't have her either. But I'm able to rotate. I get a couple other leads who can fill in, once or twice a month, which I find super refreshing to step back and not have to do it week after week after week after week.
Tell us about your method for facilitating these people, getting them on the list, practice times, and all that kind of stuff.
We have a once a week time set aside for practice, which is a Thursday for us, and ideally the songs are all picked out and even passed along beforehand so that people can give listen and just have those songs kind of playing in their heads for the week. But usually we'll gather, we'll pray, and really just give it all to the Lord, and we'll run through a practice, and then we'll do it again on Sunday morning beforehand. We'll run through it. All
right. Well, you just released an album.
I did.
And it's great. Is this your first album?
It is my first album, yeah. And I don't even know how I pulled it off. It's a very simple album. It's just me and my guitar. Actually recorded a lot of it several times at my buddy's house, and it's just, life is full. Like I said before to you, I have 6 kids, plus an extra kid, plus a full-time job and life and music every week. Mm-hmm. And so, fortunately, in the winter up here, like I said, it's 6 months of white, and it really slows down. You're really forced. The opposite of that, though, is that I'm going a million miles an hour in the summer, but I'm really forced to slow down in the winter, and somehow we were able to sit down and record that stuff, which it's actually a live take. I just sat down with one microphone and played in front of one microphone with one track. So technically it's live, but the goal was, can we just get me sitting there, like maybe I'm sitting there in the room with you, and I think we got that. Yeah.
I think it's well balanced. Did you have like 4 different microphones or different angles?
No, just a really super nice mic setup. And a super nice preamp. I can't remember the name of it. Just one take.
Nice.
'Cause it is good to give thanks to you, Lord, to sing praises to your name most high. It is good to proclaim your loyal love in the morning, your faithfulness into the night.
Any particular stories about any particular of these songs, meaningful things?
Oh man, some of those songs, like the song "Speechless." I really love that shorter song, but that one I wrote, way back, maybe 18 years ago, right when I first started walking with the Lord, and so it just kind of sat there in my folder. I'd pull it out and play it, and then the song "Find Rest," that one actually probably is the driver for getting it all recorded. I sat down one night, a nice winter writing songs, sat at a piano, and just that song came together in, I don't know, a day. And I was like, oh, I like that song. That's great. That's good. I actually like this one. This is good. And not too long after that, a good friend of mine, he had tragedy, and I sent him the song, and I think that song helped him get back up. And then he sends me all the time, hey, I passed your song on to this other person, you know, and it's helping them get back up. And so, and turn your gaze on the Lord. That's how you get back up. So that was a real driver. I told him, like, man, I think you're probably the reason I did all this, because it impacted him. You know, and a song like that opening one, it is good to give thanks. That's one of the ones we sing here on a Sunday morning, and it's just such rich feedback from it that, like, man, maybe I should just put these out there. And, you know, I'm not out there to make money, and I don't just so people can listen to these songs and be encouraged in the Lord. Oh man, awesome, totally worth it.
I'm totally encouraged by the Find Rest, and then the Holy, Holy, Holy.
Yeah,
that one's pretty.
I wrote that one last.
Good.
That was actually, I think, last winter. Sat down and I just had this little line in my head and went with it, and which that one too. That's the one that starts off, I'll sing this one, you know, with you, and so that's the idea, and the little kind of tag twist line in the middle of it all. What if we could overflow? You know, may God. There's the verse there, you know, Paul saying, "May God, the source of hope, fill you completely with joy and shalom as you continue trusting, that you may overflow with hope." And I'm like, man, what if we could overflow by the power of the Holy Ghost? What if we could overflow together?
Yeah. And that's why one of the things I like about your lyrics is, you know, you've got some artists out there that are almost like commanding the audience. Everybody stand up and praise. Everybody do this. Everybody that.
Yeah.
And you're more asking questions. You're saying, here's this information. Here's this good information. Can we do this information together? Can we have this inspired word together and fulfill these things that God wants for our life together? This community thing. I love that.
Yeah, I like the way you said that.
Is there anything that you want to share with other worship leaders as far as how to run a team, how to be where you need to be on a Sunday morning, how to be where you need to be the rest of the week?
Let's see. Yeah, sure. A couple things that are really important to me. One is prayer. I think we fool ourselves if we think that we can just organize it all well, and it's important, right? And I try to organize somewhat well, but I think the prayer has to be the backbone of it, because it's the Lord's work, and so if He's not moving, if He's not working, then what are we doing? You know, so we're working along with the Lord and what we're doing, and He's using us to, I like to say, just to turn people's gaze onto Him, because we get all over the place all week. Our hearts are all over the place all week, but it's nice to come together and together turn our gaze upon the Lord, and because He's magnificent and so wonderful, and if we could do that simple act of just turning our gaze to Him, man, it changes everything. It totally changes everything. So prayer, and then, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, right? And that's Paul there admonishing, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly as you sing psalms and hymns, spiritual songs, And so if we're not in the word and if our songs, like when I write songs, I'm in the word. When I'm preparing for songs. So at Shelter, what we also do is we just preach through books of the Bible. So right now we just started Mark. We just came out of Deuteronomy, now we're rolling into Mark. It's a wild time.
Yeah.
So I'm in that text, right? And so if I'm in that text and I'm praying, what tends to happen is the songs somehow manage to fit the sermon. And I haven't talked to the guy and figured out what he's going to be, what points he's going to be making or whatever, but usually that happens. And I think it's just the fruit of really being in the word and really being in prayer. So those are really huge for me. And then it is a community. So it's important that you're walking with each other. And, so as far as songs, what I normally do actually is, I just have a big stack of songs and I'll just thumb through them, and, I give it all to the Lord and I thumb through them, and the songs that really stand out to me, those are the ones I grab a hold of and I whittle it all down. And sometimes I've got 2 and I'm like, oh Lord, you got to give me songs, 2 is probably not going to work. And sometimes I got 15 and then I think, oh man, maybe we'll just do them all, and then I whittle it down. And, but yeah, I don't really have much, more methodology wise that I do other than those things. And, and we actually, way early on, I used to do a lot of more of the repetitive style and a lot of the free flowing where I jump around, a lot more spontaneity maybe. But here for the last, 10 years or so, definitely more of this is the order of the song. I do slides in that order and I play it in that order with the freedom and the comfortableness with the people that I'm playing with, that I could actually jump around, and I do. Maybe revert back to a different part, or maybe even at the end of it, tie another song that we did right back into it. Things like that. But for the most part, I've just learned that it's fine just to play the song and allow the song to be a tool that is used to help people, and to leave it at that.
I like a good mashup myself. Whenever you got a couple of songs that actually follow the same chord progression, and you can tie them together. That's always fun to do. Yeah,
I actually like to keep even the music a lot in the same key, if I can keep, and it is important, even if it means pushing yourself vocally to. It's important to find those keys that people can actually sing in, because. It's not just you up there, right? And so some of these worship songs that come out, it's like, wow, I can sing the verse with you, but I can't sing the chorus with you because, you're off way out there. And so not only being aware of that, but also I try to be just aware of the key, for just the flow of things. I like for it to flow. I like for it, because my approach is, this is one song, right? This is one journey. This is one path that we're going to take from this song to this song. And so I want the songs to go well together, to follow a train of thought together even. And then musically, if I can musically have that smoothness too, I just think it really helps. If anything, it just is one small way that I can prevent people from going, ooh, what was that? Or, being distracted by anything else,
Yeah. Do you reach back for the old hymns from time to time?
I do. I incorporate hymns. Yeah. I don't know very many of them. And I've told people, I didn't grow up with these hymns. So for me, it's more work. I have to spend more time in them and really work for them to become my song. And whereas for some people, you start playing a hymn, they're like, oh yes, this does it for me. This takes my heart right to that place. But it's not for me, but that doesn't mean I have to do them. So I do have a handful of them that I like to weave in there. And so, yeah, it's not all just modern stuff.
Yeah, modern stuff. I keep having this picture of where I'm at with my church, my cousin, and some different people to talk to, and then Fairbanks, Alaska. And so I'm sorry if I'm stereotyping or anything, but
no, it's good.
I'm really enjoying the nostalgia of where your life is in this conversation and everything. We work with Planning Center. Do you work with any of the software for like throwing songs together, all that kind of stuff? Or I'm picturing you at a desk with literally a stack of papers on there, and you're literally thumbing through those, and you might have an old Xerox photocopier machine that's dot matrix or something like that.
Oh man! So part of this is just personality. I have a stack of paper, and the music is, some of them are really ugly, although I've tried to get rid of the ugly ones. and then they have permanent marker chords written above them. And some scratched out here and there, and I just make photocopies and I hand them to people, and our slideshow in the back is just typed in slides. There's no song select or none of those, none of that type of stuff. Matter of fact, it's just, most of it's just a black, although one of the guys back there has been adding pictures to the background, but most of it's just black screen with white words, but that's mostly personality. I have friends, actually, there's a church actually we share our building with. We allow them to freely, just use our building, which is sweet. And they got the sound guy is using an iPad to talk back and forth, and they're using iPads, and they have it all through one of those programs, and that's what works for them. What works for me is just knowing the songs the best I can and having a pretty basic, pretty basic piece of paper on a stand if I need it. And
well, please keep doing that, because that just warms my heart. I like technology, I do, but sometimes it's just a distraction. It can take away from things.
Totally, yeah, it really does. And I fight really hard actually to keep it not from taking over my life. So I think it's a necessary fight. We really do, because we need that quiet. I mean, it's such an amazing technology today. It can be a great tool, but amazing distraction. Amazing, yeah.
So I'll ask you about your gear.
All right, yeah.
You got a favorite guitar and system and pedals and all that kind of stuff, or is it just?
My latest guitar is a Taylor. It's not a super high end one. It's probably the middle of the road, maybe. I don't know. But I enjoy it. It works great, and I run it through an LR Bags DI box, and yeah, we have a fairly nice sound board and a sound system, and we've had a guy who really knew what he was doing really balance the room. And our building actually itself is very loud, so it can be quite loud in there, even with just a guitar and vocals even. That's about all I have.
All right. How do people get in touch with you? I found your songs on YouTube Music. I've got that subscription there, and I tried to look for some social media, whatever. How do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, man. That's the other part of that detaching from this tech world is that you put an album out there, and then you go, what if somebody wanted to get a hold of me? I don't have a Facebook account. I don't have a Twitter account. I don't have social media. Honestly, I have no idea.
Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of Ryan, you can contact me at dave@worshipleadertoolbox.com, and I will pass your information on to Ryan, and he'll reach back out to you.
Sweet, man. Thanks.
Any last things you just want to tell worship leaders out there, inspire them?
How about this? Because I think it's super important to remember. I know it has been for me, and that is that the Lord is absolutely glorious, and the temptation is always to think that we have to do things a certain way and control it to try to achieve some desired outcome. And that's just this natural tendency we have. But the Lord is so glorious and so wonderful that the most encouraging thing to me has been him saying, look, Ryan, if you will just help people, if you will use these songs and help people to just turn their gaze to me, I'm absolutely glorious and wonderful. And I and so then he's like, man, if you'll just turn their gaze to me, you'll have done a great service and a great work, because he'll do the rest. He's quite amazing and quite and yeah, I think that's really important to remember, because if we don't, we end up just plugging away, thinking we're doing something and we're achieving something, and really it's the Lord who takes our breath away, man. He's so wonderful.
Man, thank you so much for joining us, Brian.
Yeah, man, it's been a delight. A pleasure.
Take care.
'Cause only in Him will you find the peace that you seek. Find a rest in the Lord, oh my soul. These northern nights we live by faith, remembering summer